Yes, ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for joining us for this latest episode of the INC Preview Show. My name's Karl, and joining me as ever is Mr. Tim Close.
Hello there.
And Mr. Max Grant.
Right.
The second baddest and the baddest MFer on the planet. I'll let them two decide between themselves which one's which.
You can take the baddest.
Cheers.
Yes, thank you very much for joining us for today's show, everybody. And I do want to apologise first and foremost. I have to admit that the uploads have not been as regular as I would like. We've had a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, but we will be making amends. Obviously, we've had the upload which happened on Sunday, and then of course today's show, and we will hopefully try and get ourselves a few more episodes, including the 245 preview show by the end of the year. So I want to say a big thank you to everybody who's been patient, and if you would like to continue to invest in the channel, you'll see a screen below there, which is patreon.com/It's Not Cagefighting. All the money you donate will go directly back into the channel. So thank you very much once again for your support. First things first, lads, we need to be talking about everything that's been happening in the world of MMA. It's been a long time since we last met up.
Yeah.
And we're going to start first and foremost with what happened at UFC 243. Officially, the biggest event in UFC history. 57,000 people.
Very good.
That's a big event, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what it is, for me personally, it's not about time, but I'm expecting the UFC to keep growing. And we were saying before,
Yeah, definitely bigger stadiums.
Like a football stadium or something.
I know that it's all about probably a lot of people channeling in now, obviously, and watching it that way. But I think still fighting in a bigger audience, bigger thing. It's got to be better. If it looks better, it is better.
Yeah.
And I think if you have the big names to justify it, I would love to see those stadium shows. I mean,
Definitely.
Imagine like McGregor at Croke Park.
Yeah.
His comeback fight in Croke Park. That would be huge.
They'll know when the timing's right. They'll not want to get a big venue and it look half empty. And I don't, like I said, they'll just put a better card on. Depends. See, they might not want it. They might not want to do that. You know what I mean? I suppose someone's suffering up there who stood in the gods can't maybe see as good, so they maybe do what they do.
Because the one issue I did have with 243, it has that title of being the biggest show of all time. But the actual event itself, you had that huge main event, and yes, I think that I personally like Dan Hooker versus Ali Quintet, but the undercard was very poor. And you'd think the biggest UFC event of all time, you'd have better than Luke Jumo and Diego Lima on the main card.
Yeah, depends what you call the biggest event of all time, really.
Yeah,
By what? By numbers, by fights, by who's who. You know what I mean?
For me, a big card is just seeing who's on it. A stacked card.
Yeah, definitely, rather than numbers. But
Yes.
if you were in the UFC, if you were one of the hierarchy, then numbers count more than
I guess, yeah.
than that.
And what did you make of Adesanya's victory?
Good performance.
Yeah.
Good performance, definitely. In my head, what I'm trying to think of is who's going to be there to beat him. Who's the next kind of one who can actually? Because I personally thought Robert Whittaker was going to win that fight. I felt confident enough because I thought Robert Whittaker all round was a better fighter.
I picked Whittaker to win.
Yeah, same. So I don't know. I'd like to see who he would fight, who would go against next, and if anyone can take the belt off him.
Yeah.
Well, the likelihood is it's going to be Adesanya versus Paulo Costa.
They did say that. Yes, they did say
That's
that.
going to be a good fight.
The Ricky
Yeah.
Martin. Yes. Now, this is just me. Is that a big, massive draw fight?
I
Big
think
enough.
maybe not the two of them together, but I do have a lot of faith that Adesanya could be a big draw.
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
agree with
He's
that.
got, definitely 100%. He's good. He's really good. Like I say, he's brilliant. But you know, you shouldn't really rely on the fight card being about one fight. There should be a stacked card really on every fight. We've had this discussion time again.
Because I actually made this point online. I actually got a bit of blowback for it. Obviously, with Adesanya and again with Zhang Weili, we've got two fighters who, for their respective reasons, are potentially big pulls for casual viewers.
Yeah.
I mean, Adesanya, he's cocky, he swaggers, he's got a fun fighting style. As many people want to watch him fight as they do want to see him lose. And Weili cashes in on a massive Chinese market.
Yeah.
And I sort of felt myself rooting for them because I knew that the financial benefits would be better for the UFC if they were to win the title. I mean, I got a bit of blowback for that, and everyone was saying, you're just trying to please all the casuals. No, I just want the sport to grow and be as big as possible. And if you have champions who are media friendly and can attract casual viewers, it's going to help in the long term.
Definitely.
But it's a business at the
Yeah.
end of the day. Like, You can't just do, well, we're going to do this because we don't care about the casual fans. You have to take that into account as well.
And that's why I don't have an issue with the Connors, the Rondas, the Chucks of the world that draw the casuals in.
Definitely.
Because those casuals become hardcore fans.
My only thing with those big names is I still don't think they should get as much leeway as they do from compared to other fighters.
Yes.
They do get away with a lot more. I know they, like you say, because they're going to be bringing in the revenue and the fans.
You put yourself in that situation of being the man who's making the money behind it, then you'll probably give people leeway.
You do have to, but that would be the only area that I'm a bit like, I don't agree with it, but you're always going to get the bigger names bringing in the casual fans, and they're going to be the people who do get that leeway, I think.
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
In any sport.
And in terms of big names in the sport, we talk about obviously John Jones and potentially the man who could be next to face him, Dominic Reyes, and his win over Chris Weidman.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that the crack for Jones?
I think they're going to wait and see what happens with one of the fights on the undercard here, but Dominic Reyes is definitely in contention, and I think that performance, especially considering how poor he was against Volkan, to do what he did to Weidman and make it look so easy, I think it's very impressive. I think physically, he's got a lot of skills that are going to cause John a lot of problems.
Yeah.
I think the last Dominic Reyes fight we spoke about, we kind of mentioned that he could be the person who was up and coming to fight John. So I think it's definitely a fight that will happen. I don't know if it will be the next fight or what, but I think we'll see that in the future. Because who else have we really got who's going to be competing with Jones?
No.
Like,
the only two I can think of are Alexander Rakic and Johnny Walker.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the Dominic Reyes fight
Makes more sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ranking wise, definitely.
Yeah.
Sad though for Chris Weidman though. I mean, everybody remembers what he did to Anderson Silva.
It doesn't feel like long ago since he did all that.
No.
To be honest, and, must be 4 years ago or whatever. And,
2013.
No, 6 years ago. Blow my neck.
How old am I?
God. Karl, are you definitely right there? I believe him in all, don't worry. That's unbelievable, like I say. He was an unbeaten lad, and he's did a bit of a slippery slope, hasn't he?
Yeah. What is it? 5 knockout losses in his past 6 fights.
You know what it is? He was kind of going off on people saying like, how can they count me out because I'm a top draw fighter and blah blah blah. Yeah, but if you've lost that many in a row, like, you've got to take that into account.
Yeah. And where do you go? Do you put yourself in saying, right, I'm no longer can hang about with the big boys, put us down a rank and maybe pick them up some wins, or do you just try and compete with the best, or do you retire?
I have to say the UFC have made a big mistake putting him in such a big match after moving to light heavyweight. Then they've started doing this a lot more recently, where if somebody's made a name for themselves in one weight class, they chuck them right in the deep end in their new class.
I'm against you on that though. I am, because I think if you're the best, I'm a welterweight, for example, or I moved from lightweight to welterweight. Now, I wouldn't expect moving to welterweight to then go, well, actually, I'll have that. You just sort of try and keep it a level, you know what I mean? And I think as a fighter, you don't want, if you're in the top 10, you don't want to then think, I'm going to have to start again, because that would probably prolong you from jumping ship. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I know what you're saying. They have to prove themselves in that weight category, but I don't think they should automatically be said, you're a top 10 in that division, but you're not in this. They might not be, but they need to be given that chance.
I think there's a level. I think there's a middle ground.
Yeah.
Because I think there's different variables that you need to think about when you move weight classes. And I think the way that Dustin Poirier did, for example, which is start around sort of like top 10, top 12, and then claw your way up, learn how to fight as a lightweight, is better than, say, Luke Rockhold jumping into a match with Blachowicz and getting knocked out straight away.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think I agree more with you in the sense that they're fighting in the UFC. Yeah. We know what they're capable of.
Just because they go weighing in however many pounds lighter,
I think
doesn't necessarily mean that they're... and some of them, generally, they move from weight class to suit them. Yeah. So potentially they must be thinking in their head, this is going to be better for me. Yeah. So I'm actually now going to be, whether I'm going up the weight or down the weight, I'm going to be in a better situation this time next year in that weight category than I'm stuck in this weight category.
I think it's different. People coming from different organisations. Yes. I would sometimes say they should probably.
I think it all depends on just how good you are.
Top 10.
How good you are, who you are. If you're capable of fighting someone in the top 10, but you're just saying that's your debut at that weight. If you're capable, you're capable. whether you've had one fight at middleweight or no fights at middleweight, if you're capable.
But then when you look at Ben Askren, the way he's come in,
I know.
people thought he was going to come in and get the belt straight away. Everyone said, oh yeah, he's the next guy, and put him in straight at the top. And again, you can say it's tactical or whatever, but he still should be ready to fight anyone in that division.
Did you watch any of that fight?
Do you reckon his boxing was brilliant?
It's a bad run for him. Like,
I don't know. I know. I mean, his head will be, as a personal thing, his head must be mush now because he was 19-0 or whatever. He literally thought he was the best in the world.
And he spoke a lot of trash as well.
Yeah, and like for him now, he probably in his mind now will be thinking, was I always that good? Was I any good? Did I ride me luck? Was the people fighting before not actually at that level? There must be all sorts going through his head. He'll be quickly trying to get back in, I think, and redeem himself. And that's the only way forward. But he can come back too quick. He can come back in too quick and then lose again, and then really pick. I mean, could he get cut?
Askren versus James Vick. Loser gets cut.
Would you cut him?
Depends.
Could you cut him?
Well, I don't know if you could.
No.
After doing that swap.
That's what we. I can't say you cutting him. Like, fair enough. You just say, well, look, you're not getting these type of fighters anymore. Yeah. You're gonna have to prove yourself. Like you say, you knock yourself down a peg or two. Yeah, you go. That's an opponent there, just outside the top 20, something like that. Work your way back up, because we do have fighters where we've seen them go on 5-fight losing skids, and all of a sudden have a 7-fight winning streak. But he's in a bit of the minute, like, and he'll be trying to get out this rut he's in. Like, I know it, and we talk about it as if he's lost loads. He's only lost 2, but
no, exactly.
I think you put yourself on a pedestal when you've got that O next to your name, and then you lose one. You think, oh no, it's a blip, it's a minor blip, and then it happens again, and then all of a sudden, was it a blip?
I think it was one of the big coaches, I don't know which one it was, but they always said that one of the best things that the fighter can do is lose early, so they know how to handle it when it gets to the stages that matter. Yeah. I realise we're going very Joe Rogan experience here, so like going off on these tangents. We'll be talking about UFOs anytime soon. So we're going to try and get things back to talking about UFC 244. And it's the Madison Square Garden show, always considered one of the biggest shows of the year. And in my opinion, I think with the MSG shows, when they did the first 2, 205 was a super show. We're talking Khabib was in the prelims, that's how big it was. Then he followed it up with 217, which in my opinion is one of the best pay-per-views of all time. And then UFC 230 came along, which I still think was an okay show, but it wasn't Madison Square Garden worthy.
Yeah. I think, like you say, if it's just like an annual thing, I think they really need to push the board out and go for it. Yeah.
I do think they've made amends this time around, because I look at this undercard, and I look at the main card as well. I think we've got some good quality fights here.
Definitely.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like we were saying that. I think this card, and I think for an MSG, you need a stacked card. You need something to sell it. It needs to be like this grand event. I think with this undercard we got here, I think that's a good kind of warm up to the main event.
So I maybe want too much, but I'd like to see this type of event every event.
Yeah.
Every event this type of. I think the UFC are capable of doing it. I honestly do. Maybe not. Yeah, even just a little bit below par. I think every fight card could be as worthy as this, and they've got the roost, they've got the fighters that they could do it.
I always think I'd like a prelim to be able to be the standard that it could be on a fight night main event.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. You're always going to get your couple who's just first coming in through, and that's all right, and that's nice to see. New timers, and people have to start somewhere. They've come out from wherever, but like I said, maybe at least 4 of the undercard should be main card worthy.
Definitely.
Who stands out for you on the prelims? Are there any big names, any big fights that take your fancy?
You've got a lot of good up and coming fighters with also their O's on the low losses, but you can't take your eyes away from Andrei Arlovski, can you? You know what I mean?
What is it? 40 years old. He's still going.
Brilliant. He's great. He's absolutely. He's been incredible for the sport.
He has. Yeah.
He really has. From being in the UFC originally to going back out to coming back in. To make you think that he was totally finished. I think when he went on a 5-fight losing.
He was the number 1 contender.
Yeah, and then when he got back in, and then like I say, I'm sure he went 7 or 8 wins. You know what I mean? And they were decent wins.
That Travis Brown fight is one of my favourites of all time.
He's great. He's a great for the sport. He is.
How many fights do you think he's got left?
You've got to start. I don't think Dana will ever cut him.
No. He has too much respect for that. Definitely,
you can't cut someone if they continue and win.
No, that's it.
I mean?
I think Arlovski's not an idiot either. I think if he if he knew his time was up, I think he would we wouldn't be going, he needs to retire. I think he would let us know before.
He won't do a BJ Penn.
No. I was just going to say, it's not a Penn situation. I mean, he's gone the distance, like past 8 fights in a row.
Yeah.
Which, considering how many people were saying his chin was shot.
But he's still putting in, like you say, he's still putting in good performances.
Yes.
BJ Penn's like...
It was sad watching BJ.
Yeah, BJ Penn looks like he doesn't belong in it.
Yeah. Arlovski, if providing his health's still there, his training's obviously going good, he's obviously mentally and physically fit, he could keep going for the... I don't know, but I do, let's be truthful, I can't say him having any more than 5 fights.
No. Totally agree.
Yeah, which will take him maybe up to 2021, and I think that's more than enough. Yeah. More than a good run.
I think in terms of other people on the prelims to keep an eye on, the big standout name is Johnny Walker.
Yeah.
A lot of people are saying this is the guy who could dethrone John Jones.
Yeah, but we're saying that about
Everyone.
Dominic Reyes as well.
Said that about few people.
Like I say, at the minute,
then.
there's only those two you could say that are kind of coming up to fight him. So.
And you're only saying that because he's beat everyone else.
Yeah.
Realistically.
It's how he's beaten them as well.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking like flying knees and spinning elbows.
Yeah.
But I think Corey Anderson is going to be a big test for him, because the big question mark about Johnny Walker is how can he handle a wrestler?
Yeah.
And I think Corey Anderson is going to test that.
I think that's always a big hurdle in any fighter's career. They've not gone against a strong wrestler. They can keep winning fights, like you say, in spectacular fashion, but
they come against a all-round wrestler, they can disable you.
You can just take away that game from them.
And you get more and more frustrated as the fight goes on.
Yeah.
And it's as simple as that. People who don't realise, have never fought or come up against a top wrestler, maybe don't realise what I mean when they say it, they just disable you. They take away what you've got good, and they, like I say, and they control the fight. You've obviously you can still go, you try and get them to it, but a great wrestler can beat any other great sportsman.
Yeah. It's like if you, the Chad Mendes fight, right, take that away, but the Conor McGregor Chad Mendes fight, he got wrestled.
Yeah.
Now say that fight was Khabib, Conor McGregor, I would have gone for Khabib to win that. And then is Conor's career the same? Is it the same path he takes? And if you have that fight later on or earlier, it can define your career.
And what you also forget as well is that before the Chad Mendes fight, which was a short notice fight, you have to remember, Conor had never fought like a wrestler.
No.
Like he'd had primarily strikers, and
had anyone even really taken him down?
Maybe not in the fight, but you can't forget about what type of training they train with and everything else. Just because you see some people who say, they never come against a wrestler. He might come against this and might not give him any show at all. You know what I mean? Which just you haven't been able to see that.
Yeah, that's right.
Yet, but time will tell.
In terms of other fights on the prelims, I think Shane Burgos versus Amir Khani, I think that could be a very fun fight. I rate Shane Burgos very highly.
Yeah.
I think that fight with Calvin Cater he had, I think it was 220. Great display of boxing from both men. I'm also intrigued as well, just more sort of a morbid curiosity about Edmund Shabazian, simply because he is Edmund's prospect. And it's just, but I have seen these fights. I've seen these fights, and he does look very good. It's just, how far can he go before he hits that Edmund wall?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Edmund.
Does Edmund have any fans?
His wife, maybe. Probably not, but
some good fights all in there.
Yeah.
Some very good fights.
I would hope the Edmund thing doesn't come into play. I think.
No.
Yeah. If you
Tavares is a big ask for him, though.
Yeah.
Brad Tavares is a very
is.
good gatekeeper for that division.
Yes,
definitely.
So we move on to our main card, and we've got ourselves a very intriguing fight. Quite ironically, we talked about a fighter which has that O next to his name, because we've got another one on this first fight. It's Grigor Gillespie, who was taking on the number 10 Kevin Lee. Kevin Lee returning to lightweight after a fight with Dos Anjos earlier this year. But despite being the veteran of these two divisions, it's Kevin Lee who's the underdog, plus 140, and Grigor Gillespie is minus 170. This really is being set up, in my opinion, to try and see how good Grigor can be.
Right. Yeah.
Potentially, he could be a top 5 fighter.
Yeah.
He's very good.
I mean, when you've got a 13-0 record, and if he's asking for these type of fights, and he's more than worthy of having that fight, and like I say, he's coming in as a favourite.
And I think you've got that kind of situation as well as kind of one going up, one coming down, possibly.
Yes, yeah.
So they're coming at a good point, and obviously Gillespie's lower ranked, but it's that kind of almost switch positions, possibly.
It is.
Kevin Lee, what has he lost his last 3?
I think he's lost just checking my notes here, I think he's lost 3 of his past 4, but the win was a dominant performance against Edson Barboza. I mean, he blitzed that fight.
I think it's a good fight. I think it's a good match.
Good fair fight.
Yeah.
It's a good test for both men. Can
is,
Grigor handle that sort of high-level fighter? Can Kevin Lee...
Still hack it with the big lads.
You know what it is? I tend to lean against the people coming up now. Because I think a lot of them have got that fire to want to kind of prove something.
Definitely. And people like Kevin Lee, not just him, but I'm just talking about in general, they're just sort of trying to stay, because that's where they don't know no different and belong. Good fight, good match, mate.
We'll start first and foremost by talking about Kevin Lee. 17-5 record, as mentioned before, 3 losses in his past 4. But this is the first time he's going to be training with Viras Sarabi. I think that stemmed from a conversation that he had with Joe Rogan. He went on the podcast and Rogan said, you know what, you remind me a lot of GSP in the way you fight. Train with Sarabi, he will get the best out of you. Wow,
that's good. I like that Joe Rogan has that influence on people still. Like, I know he's kind of away from it and that quite a lot now, but I don't know. That's good. It's to take that advice and to actually go and do that.
Yes,
we might see a good year. You know what I mean? Because I know Joe Rogan knows what he's talking about, but you're kind of taking it from someone outside of actual fighting.
When we're saying about Kevin there, like just being there for the sake of it, that to me proves that that's not the case in this case.
He wants to improve himself.
Yes.
And he's a very frustrating fighter for me, Kevin Lee, because you look at the guy, you look physically, you look at the way he fights as well. He should be in that top 4, top 5. He should be challenging for titles because he's got the potential to do so. I mean, fantastic top game. He's a very fast starter. You have to remember, he caused Tony Ferguson a lot of problems in that first round. Yes. But for whatever reason, he just seems to make these basic mistakes, and he either gets himself caught in a sub or he ends up gassing out. It's so frustrating because you know the tools are there.
Yeah.
Maybe that change of camp will someone who can just fine tune it a bit.
Yeah, definitely, because someone's on top of someone for so long as a coach, they sort of they don't take a step back and actually look. They're just on top of what's going on. Yeah. You sometimes need that outsider coming in or to just, like you say, finely tune man.
And I think maybe the Dos Anjos fight was maybe the wake-up call to say, hey, I do have some fundamental problems here, and I am willing to change to try and work them out.
Yeah. The thing with Kevin Lee is, like I've said there, he does want to kind of improve his game and stuff like that, but 2 losses, you say, or 3, sorry? Was it?
3 losses.
3 losses. I mean, there's got to be a wake-up call there. I need to turn this around now.
Yeah, you've got to think, I can't make that go. I know I'm stating the obvious here. 2 more losses there off the bounce there is like sort of time to go, time to crack.
I think when someone's got 2 losses in a row, that's when I'm kind of like, okay, what kind of level are you at? I don't think you should ever have consecutive losses, especially once you get into 3s and 4s.
I think when you get into the 3s and 4s, it becomes a massive problem.
It does,
the only way I don't mind out like is if they've continued to fight for top 10, for example, level. Whereas obviously you come outside of the UFC, and generally what you find is if someone loses 2 fights, they'll give them what you call like a
gimme fight.
To get them back on a win. And I don't think there's nothing wrong with that, because sometimes there's a confidence issue, and then also you think, well, you don't deserve that. In the UFC, I think if you win or lose, you can still get them big fights if you're good enough at that level. Which I think, and it's for a fighter also not to be avoiding that. You've got to look at, like I say, when you've got 4 losses, you've got to actually say, right, who's he actually fought? And if this, do you know what I mean?
And it's not as if Kevin Lee's losing to bad fighters.
No, this is what I'm saying.
Tony Ferguson, I like
this. Is what you've got to look at, you know what I mean? You've definitely got to look.
It could be 4 fights where you've gone toe to toe with them and it's been decisions.
100%. You've got to really read into it. But it, like you say, it doesn't look good.
It doesn't.
From even someone who doesn't know nothing about the thing, you go, I've been fighting. I've lost my last 4 or 5. They don't know who you've fought, but they think, well, always meant to get that win.
It is.
What would you say are Kevin Lee's biggest strengths?
Not sure. He's
a bit of all round. Like I say, he comes out fast in the first rounds, but
it's not his talking, I'll tell you that.
He is one of the worst trash talkers in the game.
I don't think he's going to be wanting to do much wrestling this fight, is he?
No.
Well, it is going to be interesting to see his approach to it, because this is probably the first time that Kevin Lee's faced somebody who's probably a better wrestler than he is.
Right.
So he's not going to explode and try and get those early takedowns against Grigor Gillespie.
I mean, he'll not know until obviously the first time they clinch up. Yeah. But he's definitely going to be wary.
Yeah.
And I think as well, the possibility to maybe get a bit tired later on.
Yes.
Yeah,
Could be
it's definitely the most tiring wrestling out of no matter what. Even if you, I suppose if you do wrestling more than you do anything else, I suppose your body does adjust to that. But I still say no matter who you are, your wrestling takes it out of your most out of anything. And anyone who gasses, like I say, they've been wrestling for
like a full body
motion, especially against your top wrestler. Against you're not just chucking weights about or anything. You're chucking a skilled man about who's potentially stronger and more skilled.
And when we talk about elite wrestlers, it brings us on to Grigor Gillespie. 13-0, 11 out of his 13 wins have been by stoppage. Nice. Got himself a good win against Yanti Medeiros, another that sort of lightweight gatekeepers is always going to keep people on their toes. A lot of people do criticise Grigor though for being boring, and it sort of raises this question. It's sort of like it's the entertainment side versus the sporting side. I mean, everybody just wants to see all these highlight reel knockouts, and when you've got somebody who just takes you down, holds you there, and just grounds and pounds you,
it's frustrating to watch. But then you've also
very impressive though.
Yes, exactly. But you've got to admire that, yeah, definitely. And also, when you're unbeaten and your formula's winning, you don't change your winning formula.
Exactly.
It's a well-known fact. You know what I mean?
That's true.
So I think what people say about him, I don't think they care less.
And I honestly think he's ranked 12. Coming up, you're gaining momentum at the minute.
Yeah.
You want to keep that going, like you say. You don't want to change that formula. You want to keep that formula going and going up the ranks. You don't want. If you change it now, you might get a loss, and that could affect everything. And you're just straight back down.
Yeah.
So I think at this point, it's just keep on moving up.
And personally, I look at the people around sort of top 6, top 7. I think Grigor can beat them. I think he can beat like the Dan Hookers and the Barbosas of the world.
Yeah. Well, I think after this fight, because for me, Kevin Lee, yes, he's number 10.
But like you said, he could be. It's more than just a stepping stone.
Yeah.
But you don't look at it because you're thinking 10 and 12. There's one in it. But I think for some reason in my mind and head, they feel like they're a bit more further apart in the way of being known and acknowledged in the world.
Because this is basically a showcase fight for Grigor. This is the opportunity for him to...
Definitely.
Because it was similar to how not a lot of people had sort of heard about Adesanya, and then they put him, ironically, on the MSG card against Derek Brunson, and that's the moment people sat up and said, hey, this guy could be a champion.
Yeah.
Well, I think...
It's 100% like this, yeah. That's definite. You just have to get them correctly when they give them these fights.
But if he wins that, does he get that fighter like Barbosa maybe, or someone like you say who you think he can beat? He's got to then go up to that. Yeah. Just under the 5.
Like you said, just keep going up until you get beat.
I think possibly him versus Paul Felder.
Yeah.
Let him get this out of the way first.
That's true. Yeah, we'll see what happens with this one.
We will do, because I think it's going to be a very intriguing fight. I think a lot of people are maybe saying that Grigor's going to win this one straight away because of Kevin Lee's issues, but I think new training camp, a new approach for Kevin in terms of how he's going to approach the fight. Potentially, I could see Kevin maybe trying his best to make this a stand-up fight.
Definitely,
because I think he has the upper hand when it comes to the striking.
Definitely.
I just don't see him controlling those takedowns.
Not for 15 minutes.
Not for 15 minutes.
I think the first round could go Kevin Lee's way.
Yes.
Definitely. And then I think it'll start tiring.
I'll honestly say let's see what happens with this training camp. Because you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Anything could be getting said and training, and I would have probably gone for Gillespie.
My mind's ticking over like clockwork because I'm thinking he's going to ask us next who's going to win. And
you know me too well.
I would have said Gillespie, but I just think you don't know if Kevin Lee's training really well at this minute. It could be like a new fighter coming in.
I don't think we're going to see the benefits of the training camp in this fight. I think it's going to be the second fight with Sarabi that we're going to see Kevin Lee possibly reach his best.
I disagree in a sense what you're saying, because I think the first fight is the one that is the most unpredictable. Do you know what I mean? If you see his if you see his style change, Kevin Lee's next opponent will have the upper hand to what he is now, because he really is like what Max is saying. What's he going to be his approach? No one just knows yet.
How long has he been under this training camp?
I think the Dos Anjos fight was back in May, so I think he's been there since around June-ish.
So he went pretty much straight away after, right?
4 months, 4 to 5 months.
Even if he strengthened what he had anyway, you could have a much better fight in your hands there. So I'm excited for that fight.
And I think game planning as well.
Yeah.
I think there'll also be a test of how, what we were saying, is Kevin Lee still hungry?
Yes.
And if he is, this is a fight I think he really has to win.
Yeah, it is. It's a must win for him.
Yeah, so that taking that into account, that's a big part. This is like a must win. And if he has still got that hunger and desire, he'll be putting everything into this.
Because I think people were still clinging on to Kevin Lee as a prospect in inverted commas.
Well, this is what
that's gone if he loses.
He's been there though. That's the thing. He's been in that area. He's been in that discussion. So for me, I don't say he's a higher level fighter because of that, but he's been around that area. So maybe you could say he's got more experience at that higher level. So fine tuning that, he could easily win this fight.
Stick our neck out, lads. Who's going to win?
After I want to say Gillespie. I'm not a fan of Kevin Lee, but after bigging him up, I'm going to say Kevin Lee.
Yeah, I'll go with Max.
I think the first round's going to be competitive, but I'm going to say Grigor takes the last 2 rounds. Yeah. So Grigor by decision.
That's what I was going to say 5 minutes ago. But I'm really on the fence with him now. I am.
So we move on to the heavyweight division, and we have got the number 6 seed taking on the number 8 seed, and it's a man who's familiar with Madison Square Garden because he headlined the pay-per-view last year. Derek Lewis is taking on Bulgaria's Blagoy Ivanov, and it's surprisingly it's Blagoy who actually enters the fight as a slight favourite, -125. You can get Derek Lewis at -105, and with Derek Lewis, he has faced a murderer's row of fighters over these past couple of months. So arguably, it's a drop in quality for him, but maybe one which is quite justified considering his past 2 losses.
I think it's probably a fight that's better suited to him as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
He did kind of keep building up those fights, and it was like, oh, let's chuck him in right at the top. But I think this is the level he should probably be at.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people criticise the UFC for giving Derek Lewis the title shot. I think, as much as we all love the memes and the Joe Rogan interviews, it sort of was an adverse effect because people were thinking, really, the funny guy, the hot balls guy is getting the title shot. He was knocking. What was it? He knocked out 9 out of his past 10 opponents. So he was a worthy title challenger, in my opinion.
I think once again, stigma attached to you like being a joke or anything in particular, they don't maybe realise what you're actually there for originally as a fighter.
But really, like you say, that record there, 9 out of 10. And people would have still been like, Derek Lewis, like, who? Do you know what I mean? So the fact, especially a casual fan, would have been watching that like, I don't know who this guy is. Yeah. But with a record like that, you should be more well known. Yeah, If you added, I don't know, more of a talking side to it, you may know him more. But I think that's his personality. He's the funny guy. Let him be that.
Yeah. When we talk about Derek Lewis, we've got a 21-7 record. His last fight was that loss to Junior Dos Santos. Obviously, the DC loss came before then, so it's as we mentioned before with Kevin Lee. Would I call it a must-win fight for Derek Lewis?
In a sense, he's not obviously going to get caught, but yeah, it's one of them where if he gets beat, you go, right, where do we go from here?
I think it puts him in that sort of gatekeeper status.
It does,
which a lot want around like this. Yeah.
I don't know. I've always this might be like nasty to Derek Lewis, but I've always kind of seen him that way anyway. As he's that guy who's always going to be kind of middle tier.
Do you think he
puts a good fight in?
He sort of overdid it. He got somewhere higher than he maybe should have been.
Well, a lot of
possibly, but the record, that record doesn't.
He deserved the chance.
He did, yeah.
That being said, though, a lot of the fights that he was winning, he was losing. I mean, I had Tabura winning that fight and then he knocked him out. I had Volkov winning and then.
That's my favourite type of fighter, though. Do you know what I mean?
Just never gives up.
And also, everyone wants to be the best at something. So there's nothing. I suppose the best type of fighter is someone who goes in the fight, absolutely dominates someone, gives them not even in the stand up, the rest, and then submits them. That's like you think, God, he's perfect, he's champion. But there's nothing better than seeing at any level someone getting beat and having the heart of the lion to come on and still get the victory out of nowhere or anything like that. I do like them. That's my sort of type of favourite.
And if you can knock out 9 out of 10, doesn't matter if you're losing those fights, you're still repeatedly kind of showing.
He hasn't knocked you out and you've knocked him out. Exactly. Simple as that. You know what I mean? Not all these fights. I mean, I don't even think about myself or anyone. But people go, I was winning till that. Yeah, but you got beat. You know what I mean? You lost. You know what I mean?
I think he does need to win this one, like you say, because he's getting to that 3rd loss. But I think this is probably around the area he should be at.
Yes. And when we talk about Derek Lewis as well as a fighter, we can't overlook his knockout power. This is probably one of the hardest hitters in the heavyweight division.
And that's what you want of a heavyweight. That's what you expect from a heavyweight.
Yeah.
Hard hitting. It's good that they might, like I say, they might cup of tea to watch really sometimes. Great to watch.
I think it's crazy that even in the heavyweight division, you can have your harder punches. Do you know what I mean? Like when you're in the heavyweight, you just expect everyone to have a heavy punch, but
they don't.
They don't, yeah.
No.
And I think it's good when you've got that person who just is purely like that.
I think he's a bit underappreciated as well as a technician. I mean, a lot of people think of Derek Lewis and they just think he's this wild brawler.
No.
He has got a hell of a switch kick for such a big man.
Yeah.
I'm surprised by how agile he can be.
Yeah. And that's the other thing. Like, I think the DC fight and the Junior Dos Santos fight, they're big fights. They're bigger than people kind of expect. So for someone who's got the ability, again, that ability is for that level just underneath that. I don't think he should be fighting those top people.
But he had to do it at the time.
But yes. He had that opportunity to do it, so you have to take that.
Exactly, grab it with both hands.
So technically, yes, he's good, and like you say, he's got that good switch kick. That might work at the level kind of just below that, but I don't think he's got that all-round kind of fight ability for the top tier.
And I think the other thing that Derek Lewis doesn't have as well, which hurts him, he doesn't have a good poker face. I've seen Derek Lewis quite a few times in these fights. I've seen him with Mark Hunt, we saw it with JDS as well. If he takes a big shot, especially to the body, I think he's quite vulnerable.
You can tell.
You know straight away he's hurt.
And that does bring on the opponent if you see the weakness go. But going back to him, sort of punching above his weight, if you like, if you want to call it that. Yeah. What happens if he goes back on fighting the people at the level that he's meant to be at, goes on another 4 or 5 winning streak, knocks out whatever? He's going to get that chance again, and he'll take it again, and I wouldn't blame him for taking it again because he's one punch off the win.
And I think in the heavyweight division as well, which is so short of contenders, you can.
3 wins could put him back.
3 wins could put you back in there because really you've got Stipe, DC, who's going to be retiring after the next fight anyway. Francis, and then that's really it because like Curtis Blades needs like 5 or 6 because of how he lost to Francis.
So we're talking about Derek like sort of needing this winter to not become a gatekeeper, and I think if you want this winter, like I say, chuck yourself back in the mix. And that's the right attitude to have.
I don't know, for some reason in my head Derek Lewis isn't looking at being a champion.
Just
I don't
happy
think
where
he's
he's at.
I think he's happy in whatever fight's kind of given his way. I don't think he's sat there like, you know what, before he even got the title shot, I don't think he was thinking, I'm going to be there one day, I'm going to be fighting for this belt.
It's got to go through your mind. I think the fact he's had that
opportunity, now he's kind of been in that area, maybe that is the place he's now looking. So, don't know.
We'll talk about his opponent now, which is Blagoy Ivanov, former WSOF champion, and he's only had 2 losses on his career, and I find it quite interesting that when you actually look at them, it's Junior Dos Santos, again, top 5 heavyweight, and Alexander Volkov, who I rate very highly.
Yeah.
So he's only ever lost to top level of competition.
Yeah.
And we discussed this earlier before when we talked about fighters coming into the UFC and what sort of level are they compared to the elites of the field. Yeah. I think we're starting to see where Blagoy's level is because maybe he was a bit outclassed when he fought JDS, and I don't think he looked in the best shape either. But he beat Ben Rothwell, and then he beat Tai Tuivasa. So he's around that sort of top 10, top 15 area where I feel he deserves to be.
Yeah. Definitely. And also seeing these notes that he beat Fedor and Sambo.
Yes.
Aye. That's got to go on your record as something.
I mean, he'll be talking about his grandkids about that, won't he?
Yeah, definitely. That's something you've got to brag about.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a good fight matchup in that sense of.
Yeah.
They both. I don't know. I just count them as kind of the same level almost.
I think it's going to be an interesting fight as well in terms of how Blagoy fights, and I think the reason they booked these two together was because there had been question marks about how Blagoy performed in his first 2 matches. So they put him against Tuivasa, who was somebody who can be a bit reckless, is willing to take the fight to him. And arguably we saw the best out of Blagoy in that fight. And I think they're hoping that Derek Lewis can maybe be that sort of reckless guy who's going to be charging in, and that it can maybe get the best out of Blagoy in that perspective. That being said though, we all thought that Derek Lewis was going to do that against Francis. Yeah. And we all saw what happened there.
Yeah. It's an interesting fight.
It is.
Yeah. It's an interesting fight.
It's another one that I look at, like that Kevin Lee Gillespie one, not in the up and down kind of situation, but a very tight kind of affair.
Yeah, margin. I think, like you say, the matchmaking's been pretty spot on.
And also as well, Blagoy is a very durable fighter. He has never been stopped with strikes.
I would.
There could be a first time.
Yeah, there is a first time for everything. I think this could be one of those fights that's easily Blagoy kind of taking control of the fight,
And then Derek getting
the knockout punch.
Yeah.
Because, like you say, the fact that he is durable, he could take maybe just those combinations coming his way, deliver them back, maybe take the lead with that, but then just get caught.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a very fascinating fight, and I hope it does deliver as well, because the heavyweight division is so hit or miss.
Yeah.
You can either get something which is absolutely epic, or it's a slugfest.
Yeah.
It's just boring.
Yeah.
I think, you know what it is? I think the way Blagoy's going to go with this is, I think he's going to be more than happy for Derek Lewis to kind of burn out and just go for that punch.
Yeah.
I think he's going to know Derek Lewis is going for a knockout punch, tire him out, and then get a finish.
Do you think Blagoy can try and take this to the ground? Because he's got an advantage if he gets him there.
Yeah, and I think especially if he maybe feels the power, I think he could. I think I don't know whether he'll chance it at first and go like I say, because he's like I say durable, or whether the game plan will be straight away to not fail that power. Who knows with that?
I think once he feels the power, he'll definitely
try and take it.
I think we're going to see quite a passive Blagoy first round, because he's going to be wary of Derek's power.
Yeah.
But I think the second round is where this fight's going to be decided.
Right.
I'm going against the grain. I'm going to say Blagoy.
I'll go Lewis.
I'm going to go Blagoy just because I don't think you can always win by that one punch.
No, true. But
I think Blagoy's
easily
durable
happen.
enough to take the big punches.
yeah,
He's recovering from it now.
Yes.
I'll
definitely
go
going.
Blagoy,
I think it'll be a close fight, but I'm going to go for Derek Lewis. Definitely.
Interesting. So we're splitting
These
ourselves.
have been
We haven't
quite
got-
tight affairs, these first two fights.
They're very tight fights, and you can see that with the odds as well.
Yeah.
And we've got another very tight fight as well. We're going up to the welterweight division. We've got one of our favourite fighters, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, and he is taking on a guy with one of the best runs of form in the welterweight division, Vincent Luque. So if you've watched any of the sort of like fight nights that they always do, say Boston, everywhere, etc., Vincent Luque is nearly always on there, and he's nearly always in an absolute belter.
That's what you want though.
Yeah,
And I think that's what sells some of these fight nights sometimes, is people look at them kind of like, I don't know those cards, but if you can get those kind of fighters on it, that's what's going to sell.
Definitely.
Honestly, I think the top 15 outside the welterweight division, you've got some such entertaining fighters. You've got Luque, Mike Perry, Nico Price.
Yeah.
Some of these guys are in some absolute belters.
Yeah.
You could argue that Luque has been in two of the best fights this year, like the Perry fight and then the Barberena fight.
Yeah. And for me, that's why he's getting this opportunity.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I've noticed, Stephen Thompson, number 8.
He's fallen.
That's such a change from where he was at.
The welterweight division, I think, has really been in flux recently, because we started to see, like, obviously, I think Wonderboy started the year number 3. Then the Pettis fight happened. And obviously we've got Masvidal rising, Colby rising, Diaz is back as well, Leon Edwards. So you start maybe seeing the older guard like the Thompsons maybe fading through. I mean, Carlos Condit isn't even ranked now, and he was number 4?
Are we going to say that it's the most stacked division in the UFC?
I think so.
Yeah.
Which makes it a real shame, in my opinion, that your sort of top 3 or 4 in the division just aren't engaging personalities, or at least unlikable personalities.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. I mean, you know, Stephen Thompson, number 8, man. How is this happening? Is this more from? Sorry, it's just like, for me, he is one of those people that is just top 3.
Yeah.
And even that loss to Pace, I wouldn't have said like
he was winning that fight.
Exactly. So I don't know if it's more other people are having fights and they're going above him.
I think it's
so
more
it's
that.
now his turn.
Yeah. You sometimes can do that. It's not the fact that they've picked him up and went, get down there.
Yeah.
I think it's more that you're going up there, you're going there because of all the getting wins, like you say.
So this fight could boost him back straight back up.
That being said, one win in his past 5. He had the draw with Woodley, lost to Woodley in the rematch, and then it was Till and Pettis. So form's not really on his side either.
No, definitely not. And you can say why he's dropped, like I said, dropped down the ladder. Even if he's still capable up there, it's all right us knowing he's capable and the world knowing he's capable. You've got to prove it. You've got to have the wins, don't you?
You know what it is? Those 4 fights though, I personally could debate every one of them.
Yeah.
Like I would say 2 championship fights against Woodley, who For me, Woodley's just an all-round strong man. He's like a beast. I never had Thompson really win that fight beforehand. So that's 2 championship fights. So that's still the top level.
Yeah.
Then the Till fight, I was at that event and it looked like Till dominated the whole fight. When I've watched it back, I still would have given Till the win, but Thompson seemed to be in there like more than I thought. And then you've got the Pettis fight. So I think they're 4 fights that, like you say, you need to know what the
4
fights
fights, but 3 opponents.
Yeah, exactly. And 2 of them were the top level, the highest you can get. So really, that should count them still up there.
Yeah.
Regardless if you lost, you're still the next one.
Yeah.
And then you've got I think number 8's a bit harsh, but again, I think if it's other people fighting him. Did I say I'm upset about number 8?
Surely there's a mistake.
Number 3 is just coloured in a little bit more. Yeah.
And when we talk about Wonderboy, though, as a fighter, we're talking about one of the best strikers in MMA. I mean, the techniques, this karate-based style. Yes, he has had criticisms before for maybe being a bit too passive for his own good, but I think, personally, I watched him when he fought Pettis, even before the knockout. I think that was the most proactive Wonderboy we've seen. He was letting his hands go, and he was controlling that fight, in my opinion. Maybe
it was a bit too kind of confident in his ability. Maybe he had the ability, maybe could have finished it earlier, I don't know, but it's this sport.
I was just going to say, it's the hardest thing in the world, and it really is. It's what makes it the best sport in the world, because you don't let yourself go, and you go back to change everything, and I didn't let myself go, I didn't do this, I didn't fight before. You've got to go out there, give it your best, and if you get caught, obviously, you've given your best, and I think you've got to do that. And
when you think about it, Pettis was in a situation where he wasn't winning loads of fights, and he got a fight against Thompson, and
he took a chance.
You took that. That's what I mean. So now it's it's a bad story for one, but a good story for another for Pettis to get that win. So positive and negatives.
I think so as well, and I think, do I dare say another issue when it comes to Thompson, and maybe a reason why he's dropping down the rankings as well. The guy is 36 now. And we are seeing his chin maybe be questioned. He is getting caught. Woodley caught him twice. Till caught him. Pettis obviously caught him. Are we maybe seeing Father Time catching up with him? And maybe the effectiveness of the karate style is...
Possibly, definitely. But the number 36, everyone's different. Some people are tired of that age and some people aren't. Because 36 nowadays, I don't think is past it anymore.
No.
When we've looked at some previous fighters, you know what I mean, over even the last 10 years, I think if they've looked after themselves, and it depends how old they were when they got into the sport as well. You know what I mean? Some people are getting into the sport at like 25, 26. So when you look at them at 36, you think, 36, he's only been done it 10 years. You know what I mean?
He doesn't look like an old fighter.
He doesn't.
No.
And you know what it is? I know you've got to be in the sport, but he's very athletic. You know what I mean? So he's I don't know, I just think he's in good shape, and he seems to kind of keep himself in good shape all the time. I wouldn't say 36.
But do you think this is a good fight for him, as such as if he loses?
If he loses, then I think there are going to be question marks over
his rank,
what he does next.
Yeah.
But I do think in terms of a fight,
it's a good one
it's a good one for him, because I think Vincent Luque is going to give Stephen Thompson a lot of opportunities to show his best.
Yeah.
Because I think, as much as I do like Luque, he gets himself into brawls and he does carry some power with him. He can be a bit reckless, and I think somebody like Wonderboy, who is a much more refined striker than the Barbara Reyes and the Perrys of the world, are going to find those opportunities.
Yeah.
I just think it's a bad situation if Wonderboy loses.
Yeah.
I don't really know what
You're really nervous, aren't you?
Please win. Because he might not be ranked in the top 10 soon if he loses this fight. Surely he's got to go in the top 10.
Yeah. No, if he loses this, he's out the top 10.
That's what I mean.
Definitely.
I think he'll be out the top 10 if he loses this fight.
100%.
So that's something you wouldn't even have thought about.
No, this time last year.
2-3 fights ago, let's say.
That being said, though, I think from Luque's perspective, when you look at his record, he's won 10 out of his past 11. He's been involved in some of the best fights this year. He deserves a top 10 opponent.
Definitely. But like you say, he hasn't fought a top 10 yet. This is going to be the Thompson's probably going to be his biggest win.
Yeah. He's shown himself against a decent level of opposition, but I think going from Mike Perry to Wonderboy is maybe too big of a jump for him.
But at the same time, this is the chance to fight Stephen Thompson.
And I'm glad he's getting these opportunities. And I think there's a lot more people who, outside the top 15, who should be getting those opportunities.
Yeah.
We should be seeing like Mike Perry fighting, say, the Robbie Lawlers of the world, who are maybe on the decline. What would you say are Luque's best strengths as a fighter?
It's like I say, he's a bit of one of everything. He's not bad at the stand up either, is he? But I think with this fight for the Thompson, I think he's not going to. Is he going to stand for long? Maybe the first round, or what's he going to?
I think it's going to be very hard to take Wonderboy down.
But
I think it is because, but if you get a lot of kicks from Wonderboy, and if you take him down, you've got the possibility of has Wonderboy been submitted?
I don't think he has, no. I think all of his losses have been decisions apart from the Pettis knockout.
Imagine that.
There would be a
submitted. That would be a
big
massive
feather in his
statement.
cap.
yeah.
Massive statement.
This has suddenly got a very intriguing
It has
fight,
got it
hasn't
has. It's which one did you always say the number 3 fight was or was it number 2 you always
Number
saw?
2 I always
was the
consider the Duffer fight.
None of them have been. It is an intriguing fight, this. Thinking when you think of it like that, you don't know. Like I say, people have different game plans all the time for different fighters, and that's how it's meant to be.
This is that fight, like me with was it the Gillespie one I said, but kind of up and down positioning.
Yeah.
Luque might go into this fight just wanting that, thinking in his head, I want that feather in my cap, I want that big scalp.
And if he goes out too reckless, he'll get caught.
Especially by Thompson. Yeah. I think Thompson's got a lot in his arsenal from distance as well. I think you could easily get caught.
Yeah.
I mean, people forget as well. I mean, it was 2 years ago, Wonderboy absolutely schooled Masvidal.
Yeah.
Yes, this is what I mean. Now look at where Masvidal is.
Yes.
But it's all about form. And you can't live in the past. You kind of go, well, 2 years ago I beat him. Yeah, but the 2 years ago's not now. You know what I mean? And it's right. It's all about form. You can't live off that for forever. What you have done, to stay in the top 10, you've got to be winning now.
Yeah.
Stick on neck out, lads. Which way we're going to go?
Thompson.
I'll have to go Thompson.
Yeah.
Wonderboy by decision.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going head kick.
And
What, you think he's going to finish him?
Yeah.
Now that would be a big feather in the cap as well if he finishes Vincent Luque.
Yeah.
Well,
Don't forget Stephen Thompson's got something to prove here as well.
He does.
So-
He does.
To you.
Please. I'm going to tweet him now. Like, what? Please win.
We'll get him up to 7th.
So we move on to our core main event, and it's quite appropriate we were talking about fighters switching weight classes and going into big fights straight away, because we've got that situation here. Kelvin Gastelum, number 4 seed in the middleweight division, is taking on Britain's Darren Till. The bookmakers have Kelvin as a -185 favourite. You can get Till at +150. And for a lot of fans, especially us Brits, this is an overdue move. A lot of people have wanted Till to move up to middleweight for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a big guy.
Yeah.
You can tell when he's fighting. I think he should have gone to middleweight earlier. I think this is a massive fight for him though.
Yeah.
To put him in. It's a co-main event. It's against Gastelum, who again has kind of gone up to that weight, but he's settled there now.
Yes.
I think
Kelvin is a good example of moving a weight class right, because he did start out lower in the top 15 and then worked his way up.
Yeah.
And I think as well, Kelvin is, in my opinion, quite agile. Being for me, he's one of the faster middleweights.
Yeah.
And I think even though he might be the smaller man physically, that speed helps him.
it does. And I tell you what, he's got power as well.
Yes.
This is the fight I'm not to say most excited for, but we'll come to the
Intrigued
main
by.
event, but this one is just one that, obviously the British element in there, it's a fight I'm really excited for. I probably wouldn't have put him in that level straight away now.
See,
What you really should have done is put him against, say, the Derek Brunsons of the world, or even Anderson.
yeah.
This is the thing though, because I know Anderson, you can again say he's maybe lost some and maybe should have lost that fight
Still
as well.
did.
But it's the name, that's...
Yes.
Massive, yeah. But like, you've got to think, as a fighter, you've got to think about danger. And what I mean by that is, if you're going to fight 2 fighters who are dangerous, equally as dangerous, you've got to go for the one who's at the time a high one. Losing to Anderson now, would put you in a bit of a. He's still got all them tools, but I think he's 1 win, 6 losses, or 1 win, 5 losses in his last 6, whatever. Like, and he's still got that massive name. But a loss to him now
Doesn't mean anything.
would tarnish your record.
Right.
Back when Anderson was winning everyone, you lose to Anderson. There was no disrespect.
Yes.
It's still not now.
Right.
But I think Anderson's still got just as many tools, and I think he's for your mind a hard fight, because you think if I lose this, where do I go from here?
Yeah. We'll start first and foremost by talking about Kelvin Gastelum. Now, it's very rare that a fighter comes off a loss and still raises their stock. But that's what happened to Kelvin against Adesanya.
Yeah.
What a good fight
But
that
this
was.
is what I mean, yeah. And this is why I say it depends on the performance you put in.
Definitely.
It doesn't matter if you lost a fight.
Yeah.
If you've kind of stayed in there and put on a good fight, then you're always going to gain more fans. From
Yeah,
that, I think.
definitely.
And I think as well, because of the quality of that fight as well, it means that Kelvin's always going to be 1 or 2 fights away from a rematch as long as Adesanya stays champion.
Yeah.
Because I mean, people will want to see that rematch.
Yeah, definitely. But then what happens with this fight? If Till beats Gastelum, I'm not saying Till then goes on to go for the belt, but does then Gastelum fight someone around the level he would have fought before? I don't know. I think this fight, again, like some of the others, has kind of a big impact on where they go. Because Darren Till's new to this weight division. What if he comes in here and just absolutely wipes the floor with him?
Yeah.
And we're like, this is where he belongs.
Yeah.
But then, if Kelvin does the same to Darren Till, it's kind of like, where does Darren Till belong?
Yeah.
And I think you made a really good point there. I think that one of the things that Till may have over Kelvin is Till's fighting style was always relied on being the bigger man, on bullying his opponents, pressing him against the fence, and then using that to fire off shots. When you've got such a small middleweight like Kelvin against a Till that's going to be even bigger than he was at welterweight, is he going to find himself in those situations?
Yeah.
Kelvin's
The size is always going to be a
the
big
size
issue
is
with Kelvin.
going to be a massive issue, but I just think Kelvin, he's been in that position before.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. It's not something he's not new to.
I don't think that's going to have an effect on him personally. I think the person who might affect more is Darren Till in his head thinking I'm the bigger person. You always find that with weight, people always say, oh, I'm bigger than him, I'm this. Doesn't matter once you get in there and you're fighting.
I think maybe now they don't think as much about the weight. I think that they know now it's all about skill and heart and everything else. Obviously you've got the bigger weights and the little weights, but the welterweight and the middleweight sometimes they come in that big at welterweight. He will be bigger, but he'll not be probably that much bigger.
And dare I say as well that weight bullying it's something that you can sort of get away with at the lower level.
At school, I think
I got a lot of that out back in school.
I think if you were to rely on your weight, then you're probably in the wrong game or the wrong
No,
level.
but do you know what I mean? In the sense of like just that little edge, you just in your head think, well, I've got this on him, or I've got that on him, and I've got the weight advantage on him. But sometimes I think some fighters may think like Darren Till's the fact we're discussing it.
Yeah.
Sure, he says that as well.
Yeah, how I think of things is, obviously you come to a fight, obviously you get ways you think that. Obviously you go into a gym, right, you're training with the lads, there's maybe 10 of us in the gym. We're all within from 60 kilos to 90 kilos, but when we're swapping partners, whether we spar, wrestling, grappling, whatever else, you're not thinking about the 10 kilos here and then. You can give someone can give you a very good spar, and not afterwards you think, he's 12 kilos lighter than me, or he's 12 kilos heavier than me. You know what I mean? And these aren't going to be in that much of a margin, really. Both weighing in at the same the day before. They've got to weigh both in the same weight class. It is what it is, really.
How do you think the new weight class is going to affect Till? What are we going to see him doing differently that he was doing at welterweight?
I'm not too sure, because the fact that he's gone into the welterweight fight a bit heavier as well, I just think maybe he might just go with the same kind of.
I think it'll just be an all-round good effect for his training camp.
Yeah, so I don't think he would change much.
I think it'll not be the fact of changing. He'll probably just be better at it. He'll have more energy. Definitely.
I know he's lifting a lot more weight.
Yeah.
That could be a good thing and it could be a bad thing.
Yeah.
The one concern I do have with Till is I think that, and again it goes back to the whole weight bully thing that I sort of hinted at. I think because he had this style where he was always using his size to sort of overpower his opponents, it meant that his striking was a bit rudimentary. Not that it was bad or it didn't lack power, but that it was the same basic combos. It was a straight left. It was he favours the left hand side a bit too much for my liking.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm expecting a brawl with this one anyway. I don't think.
I mean, we saw that with the Masvidal fight.
Yeah.
I mean, he was winning the first round in the Masvidal fight, but he didn't change things up in the second round. Masvidal started reading him and then caught him.
Yeah, I think Masvidal's just a complete different fighter. Like
Involved, isn't he?
he
Massively.
Especially from street fighting, he's expecting everything. He knows how to change his game up and everything like that. I would actually give the edge probably still to Gastelum in this one.
I'm in the same boat.
You give what, sorry?
The edge, the winning edge to Gastelum. I know he's obviously been in this division. He's ranked higher. Till's coming in heavier, or what? It doesn't matter. I just in my head looking at this fight, I just think Gastelum's going to be confident coming into it.
Yeah.
I just see the same thing happening as what happened in his past 2 fights. Till's just going to come charging in, and Kelvin's going to crack him with an overhand. But
if that was the case, like that's extremely. If that's the case, that's extremely poor from Till and extremely poor for his fight comp. When it's happened twice, you kind of things have got to change. Like you said there, when you lose consecutive fights or anything like that, alarm bells start ringing. What do we do? Change it up. If he comes in the same thing, gets caught the same, it really is poor preparation.
I don't know this. You might know this, but he's lost twice.
Yeah.
I don't know your win and losing record here, by the way, but he's lost twice. You're saying how he should change that up. Say in this fight, Gastelum rocks him at one point, and it's maybe at the start of a round. Does he then just kind of go on autopilot and go back to that fighting style he has, where it's just I'm going to go?
Which to be honest, you as a fighter, you get game plans and you try and think. But when it comes to the nitty gritty, if anything, if someone like doesn't go your way, you go back to your strengths without thinking about it. You just do what you are the best at. And like I say, might get caught up in it or whatever. But it's got everything to make a good fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think they both get dropped. I'll say that.
Yeah.
I think they're both going to get dropped.
I think somebody's going to get dropped.
Yeah.
It's definitely could have fight tonight all over good, isn't it?
And in terms of what happens to the fighter that wins, are we potentially looking at winner versus Cannonier? Gets the next title shot after Costa?
You say for either of these?
I think for either of them, yeah. I mean, Jared Cannonier's done wonders since he moved to middleweight.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they have to go a different route. For me, in my head.
Well, you've said about Till if he's getting a good shot for his first fight at middleweight. Now, obviously, if that's the case, then he's done what you've said you didn't want to happen, or thought it maybe couldn't happen. You know what I mean?
I think the UFC still want Till to be a star. That's why they're giving him such a big fight.
I know, and I think that's not a problem. But I was going to say before, do you think they've pushed him too hard to kind of beat this star? He just might not be.
I think the big fights, though, you can't turn them down.
You can't.
You can't turn them down, and like he's what's the word I'm looking for? Anyone in the top 10 or 15 could beat him, if that makes sense. Not because he's just that's the MMA.
Yeah.
If he's going to do it, you're going to do it properly and fight the best they offer you. You know what I mean? And then if you lose, at least we're back to that way of. I know you shouldn't think like that. You've fought the best, you've given your best. You know what I mean? Rather than if he come in like you said and maybe get a top ranked 15th, 16th opponent, got beat, then you'd probably be looking at him going, right, well, I'll tell you what, I'm going back down to welter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think this is I don't think it's a bad fight, actually.
Which way are you going?
Gastelum for me.
Do you know what? Looking back, I always can give you pretty much direct answers, but I'm on today I'm playing on the fence for everything. I'm sick of myself. I think I'll go with Kelvin. I think I do. I think I would like obviously Till to get the win. I really would. So I think I'm saying Till.
Your heart's saying Till.
I'll be hard saying Till.
I would
really,
like Till to win.
I think,
I think everyone would.
Yeah, but I think it probably will be Kelvin. And I hope I am wrong on that one, really.
I'm going to say Kelvin second round knockout.
Yeah. And I think Max might be right about 2 drops.
Yeah. I can see because I think however much we're saying Till should probably change it.
It might be a cautious first round. It might actually be where it could even be a bit boring. And like I say, maybe end of the first round towards in the second, they start getting.
I do think we're going to see a better Till at this weight though.
Yeah.
I do think 185 is his division. I would even go further. Yeah. I think he could make a good 205.
I think middleweight. I think if he's fought at welterweight and he's done that, I think maybe in a couple of years, I don't know. But at the minute, I think definitely it would be crazy for him to jump straight up to light heavyweight. I think. I was just thinking about what Rumble did. Yeah.
I mean, Rumble was a similar situation, too big for the weight class, and then he was blitzing people.
Yeah, like you say, he'll know when he's selling now before this fight for how he feels.
So we move on to our main event of the evening, and it's for the first time since UFC 202 we've got a scheduled non-title fight headlining pay-per-view. Obviously, there was 234 with Adesanya and Anderson Silva, but that was never intended to be the main event. Obviously, Whittaker pulled out last minute.
Yeah.
This is the first scheduled non-title pay-per-view headliner since UFC 202, ironically headlined by Nate Diaz.
Can I just say, you say it's a non-title fight, but I can
Well,
see...
the BMF title.
It's a proper legit title. Means more than any weight now. That's I mean, I'm proper. When it first come about, this title, I thought it was just like what you would be under your name title. I didn't actually know they were making the title.
When they're actually making a belt and they're getting Dwayne Johnson to present it, it's a bit tacky.
It's a one-off. It's a one-off. No, that's it. This is what I was saying. I hope it's a one-off. I know what you were saying before. It's not like one where you're going to defend it. Yeah. Well, we hope. But I hope now, like after this fight, just even in a year's time, 2 other fighters and they call it the nicest, best character belt or something like that. It would be too gimmicky. Like I think if they do this, even in like 20 years, and if they don't do anything else, then you could say, "Can you remember when they did that?" And it'll actually look okay. But if they start making up random belts all the time, it's going to be like, this is just a joke now.
I'd hope Dana's got enough sense to kind of be
this
like...
is a what?
Well,
it doesn't look bad. It doesn't look too bad if it's a one-off, but that is it.
But you do realise whoever beats either the winner of this fight, they're going to start calling themselves a BMF.
So what? I'd go to home and take the belt out. I'd say, where's that belt? But surely you can't defend this belt.
I would hope this is the one-off.
It's got to be.
Yes.
It's got to be classed as a one-off. It's got to be.
Yeah. But I mean, Buffer's not going to be announcing this when he does the ring intros, is he?
I don't know.
Well, this is what I mean. I think
he might.
Know how official this is going to be.
Undisputed
If they have made a title, I think I will put money on it now that he does announce it.
Surely he
will.
has to.
If he's going to... Otherwise, what's going to happen is, when you get people tuning in who don't know what's happening, if he doesn't announce it and then they get a belt, they're just going to think they're the yard, aren't they?
Yeah. I think he's not. He's going to say the BMF title. I think
yeah.
He's not
going to start.
Do you think Masvidal and Diaz are both worthy of challenging for the BMF title?
Yeah.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yes.
I do find it quite interesting.
Apparently Conor made the idea up, and apparently Conor designed the belt. Apparently so.
Really?
Or helped towards it. So apparently, that's his words.
Conor says a lot of things.
Yes, I know.
I did find an interesting stat though in regards to this. Everyone's going to be talking about all the hype, all the BMF stuff. They're not going to mention this in the adverts though. Collectively, these two have the most losses for a pay-per-view headliner in UFC history.
Wow.
Masvidal 13 losses, Diaz 11. That breaks the all-time record.
Yeah. And, like, they're both great fighters, really. Do you know?
I don't say that when they come out.
Do you know when? It just goes to show though. This is the bit I love about our sport. In boxing, you're gonna have a 40-0, and if they've got 2 losses, the class is crap.
Yeah.
Where we both, or everyone is tuning in, can't wait for this fight. Anyone can't wait, and like I say, their records don't matter because it's who they are now. It's like we're on about Underboy. They're saying, how can he be this if he's not getting the wins? He's not. These lads have had their losses, but as it currently stands now, they're both there. They're both in deserving, I think, for the main event. I think it's the one everyone wants to watch, isn't it?
But I mean, Nate Diaz is number 6.
Big win.
Yeah, beat Pettis.
Yeah.
I think Pettis was number 6.
I don't know, in my head, I just feel like he's not active enough to be...
But he has. If you're big number 6, I totally agree.
Yeah,
I disagree as well. Because if you beat number 6, you can't go, well, he's still number 6 and you're number 15.
Right, so does that mean if Till beats Gastelum,
He's
Till
four,
will be
definitely.
jumping into the top 5.
Is that
Definitely, 100%.
Nah, see, I don't know.
100%.
Right, I would agree with you.
You put yourself in Till's shoes and you knock him out and you then go, why am I not ranked number 4? He was.
I 100% agree with that, but I feel like UFC has never done that all the time.
It's somewhere near though.
Yes.
Well, they're doing it correctly now then.
Right, that's how it should be then.
Yeah.
I do agree with that. I always think if you beat number 4, then surely that's where
how I do it is I put myself in that situation, right? If I was like say Till, and if you knock rank number 4 out, and then I looked at the rankings the next morning and they had me ranked 9th, I'd be on the phone going, I'm not bothered, but can someone please explain to me how this ranking system works?
Well, I think that was something that Corey Anderson had a big issue with, because I think he beat Glover when Glover was number 4. Mm-hmm. But yet, rather than move him up to number 4,
They moved him down.
They moved Glover
That's
down.
shocking. That's shocking. That's someone not liking you that like, because
Wow,
that's
pretty
harsh.
smart, though, like.
That's harsh.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
I always thought it was like if you win, like there seemed to be a point if you won a fight, you just went up one position.
I mean, to be honest with you, like you can get flukes.
Yes.
Right. So you've got to be realistically. So now and again, I do agree. If just say someone in the top 10 and you stepped in and you weren't even ranked and you caught them you were getting beaten, you caught them with a daft thing, they're going to go, you're not really ranked number 6 in the world, whatever. But that's a one-off. Generally, these people are deserving to fight them because they're there or thereabouts. So then, therefore, unless, like I say, it's a last minute and it's a daft bit of a fluke. When these are fighting them, they deserve to fight each other. Then I think I can't understand why you wouldn't put them in the top. Yeah. Top.
So we'll talk about our first competitor, Jorge Masvidal, 34-13 record, but his most recent win was the Ben Askren knee.
Yeah.
I mean, however like amazing that was, it would have been nice to see a bit more from him going into this fight.
Yeah, you can't beat he's got the free school goals, the fastest UFC knockout record. It's class. I know what you're saying, and it probably might be a different story of the fight, but
and that made him as well.
Of course it did. If he'd probably done that halfway through the first round, it wouldn't have been. I suppose it was his first loss, wasn't he? But I think it definitely made him more by how it happened.
And due to the fact it was Ben Askren as well.
Yeah. And his first loss.
And the fact they had this little kind of
the needle between the two.
Yeah, there was something going on between them. So. Yeah.
Mind you, though, after what we've seen from Askren in the fight with Damian Maia, how much value do we hold on that win now?
100%. If what we were saying, if that just say he'd went the distance and won a beat a decision, then obviously Ben Askren to the poor performance last night, then you'd have went, well, was that such a big win? I think it was just the fashion he did it.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It was the fashion he did it in. And he still was the first person to beat him. You've got to remember that.
Yes.
He took away 0.
Yeah.
What would you say are Masvidal's biggest strengths as a fighter? Obviously, most people focus on the striking.
Yeah.
But
He's
striking, yeah.
I think he's a very good all-rounder as well.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about this all the time, and I say it all the time. If we were to do the podcasts 10 years ago, 15 years ago, we would be going
striker versus
yes,
grappler.
they're all well rounded now. I mean, you're talking even outside the UFC. You're talking about amateurs now. Like in local, I was at the local show last night. There's some great all rounders. They're getting taught all round. They can strike. You can't actually pinpoint what they're good at. You can't, you see some people going, "Oh, look at his striking, brilliant." You look at his record; he's win all by submission. You know what I mean? Because they are all rounders now.
You need to.
But I think obviously you do. Every fight starts stood up, and if you're a good stand up, and you're getting the upper hand, you're not going to take it to the floor. Yeah. You're going to use your floor if you need it. I think.
I think Diaz obviously has the ground game advantage.
But I know.
As a striker, his boxing is just unbelievable. It's very precise.
He's very intelligent for a striker as well. Yeah. I mean, his distance control and the way that he can read people, as we mentioned before with what he did against Darren Till, he knows the tricks that his opponent's starting to utilise, and he adapts and changes on the fly.
Yeah, that's a guy. It's a clever man. Any one of us or anyone watching from the public can see that, like a third party. But to be in that fight, sometimes you can't see the tree for the woods. You know what I mean? Because you're that in. But he does, he adapted. Like I say, he's a very, very clever man.
Yeah. And I think as well, another thing that Jorge is very durable. I was looking through his record. The guy hasn't been stopped since 2009.
Yeah. And I think, yes, we've got his striking, but the fact he can take a punch as well.
Yes.
And you know what it is? I think coming from that kind of street fighting background as well, that's probably done a lot to help that.
Yeah. But then I also think when you take so many punches, there comes a time when all of a sudden you lose it. All of a sudden, your last fight, you could have went 15 minutes of getting hit, and you think he's the toughest man on the planet. The next fight they go out, they get hit and they go, and you think that's just all of a sudden. I don't know.
And it just takes that one moment. I mean, look at, I hate to mention it, but look at Chuck, for example. Chuck was always praised for the quality of his chin.
And then it just went.
And then the Rampage fight happened, and then
it went back over after that. You thought, it was like a one-off type of thing, but it wasn't. He just, every time he got clipped.
I don't know what it is. For me, Nate Diaz, right, I think his boxing is very precise and very accurate. And he throws a lot of punches. But when I'm thinking about boxing, I'm not thinking extreme power in there.
No.
I'm just thinking like quick jabs and
He's
stuff
busy.
like that.
He's busy.
Yes.
But talking going back to about like losing your durability and your chin and that. Now, I might be wrong in saying this, but do you not feel like these two are sort of at the best they've ever been, or could potentially be?
I think Nate would...
What I'm saying is I don't think they're going back down.
I think Masvidal definitely
Masvidal is. I think Nate's peak was around sort of 2013, 2014 when he was... Obviously, he got that title shot against Benson.
Yeah. I don't know. I think he's come back, and I think I could see him upsetting not just Masvidal. I don't know. There could be a couple of upsets for him.
I think for someone like Nate as well, I just think fighting's in his kind of DNA.
Yeah.
So I don't think it ever will leave him. Literally to the point he's an old OAP. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's just going to always be in that mentality. So I don't think it ever is going to leave him.
I'm just imagining Nate now in his wheelchair just ramming old people in the retirement home now.
I know.
Screaming 209 in his wheelchair.
How would you
With
rate,
his belt.
How would you rate Nate's performance against Pettis? Obviously, it was his first
Good.
fight back in 3 years. There were a lot of questions over.
If it hadn't had the 3 year off, was it 3 years?
3 years.
It probably wouldn't. It was still a big win in that. But I think, like I say, I know I keep referring to sometimes myself, but I have to in my head. I've had time off myself, and I'll tell you what, there is such a thing as ring rust. I think when you make a debut, obviously you've never had a fight before, but it doesn't matter because you're fighting another debut. But if you've had 3 year off, you're still coming in and fighting, like I say, ranked number 6th. So while they've been competing, you haven't. You know what I mean? And you can do as much sparring, as much training as you want. Even the walkout, the full day, the full build up to the fight is draining. And like I said, to come back after 3 years, get the win like he did, I think fantastic. And this is what I mean about. I don't think either one of them are on a slippery slope at all. Yeah. I think if anything. We talk about the fighters, right? They only have 1 or 2 losses, and all of a sudden at the end of the career, they build up these losses. They seem to have done it reverse cycle. They've sort of done the losses, and they're now getting better. They're like a fine wine. They're getting better with age.
Yeah. I think maybe Nate's striking was maybe a bit sloppier than I remembered it being compared to the McGregor fight.
Yeah.
But I think his ground game, I think he looked great on the ground against Pettis.
I mean, I think it's great to have a quick fight again straight after. I honestly think Nate. Well, I think he's after the 3rd fight, and I think he's just come back like hungry.
Yeah. I will say, I think when I watched that fight that he had with Pettis, and they got him on the microphone afterwards, I thought, oh, he's going to call out Conor. They're going to build up to the 3rd fight. When he called out Masvidal, I thought, you played an absolute blind.
I think that was the smartest thing.
Do you think someone pointed him in that direction, or do you think it was heat of the moment?
I think he's definitely been speaking about it with someone.
Yes.
I don't think he's just there and then thought it. I thought he thought, you know what, Masvidal's getting wins. We have a similar kind of background.
Yeah.
I think this is a good kind of fight that people would want to watch, and I think it is. And you know what it is? It's the fact that he didn't do it in a kind of McNugget way. Do you know what I mean? He didn't like badmouth him or anything. I think he was showing respect to him as well. I think it's set it up really perfect.
Yeah.
Do you think maybe in a way though that obviously all the marketing around this being the BMFs, there's a pressure on this to be a classic?
Yes, 100%.
Definitely.
It's sort of if it fails, it'll be a huge disappointment for every single person. I think everyone wants to see it. Just whether someone gets knocked out in the 1st round or they have a brawl for however many rounds. I don't know. This does actually have a bit of a needs to live up to something.
Yes.
I think if it fails, and it's a really bad fight, I honestly think the BMF title thing will go down in history as like, do you remember that time the UFC did it?
I think
be like, oh, God.
I think there's going to be more to this fight. I'm laughing because I think there'll be the build up. If there's a great fight, and then I do think there'll be controversy after the cage. I think a certain person will probably come in the cage and try and take the belt.
An Irish whiskey salesman.
Yep, and I think that. I hate sort of WWE type of stuff. They can get away with this type. They can get away with this, and I think, like I say, I do like how they go on. Like I say, I think it's going to be interesting. Interesting night. I would like to be there ringside.
Yes.
I would like to be there ringside.
I think between the two, I have to be honest. I think I'd be rooting for Nate to win more because I think the thing with Nate is Nate talks a lot of bravado but he is quite tongue-in-cheek about it.
Well, I think you're probably better than me at this type of thing. I think you also think of the future.
Yes.
And I think when Nate winning would probably open a lot more doors of how exciting it would be for another fight. Masvidal wins. Yes, he's still got options out there, but I do think Nate's got more. Nate's got a perfect comeback story.
Yes.
Nate potentially had 3 years off, come back, beat Pettis, wins the BMF title, beats Conor in the trilogy. That's a story seller. That would make a. Do you know what I mean? That's like an awesome.
Yeah.
Here's one for you then. If Nate wins, does he go for the third Conor fight, or does he go for the Usman Colby winner?
I'd probably go for the title because no matter what, 10 years time, him and McGregor could still have that third fight. Yeah. So you'd have to take that opportunity if he was
don't
given.
say that De La Hoya's going to be
Karl,
booking that fight now.
Yes, he will. He will. Do you know what I mean? If Nate Diaz goes on a losing streak and Conor McGregor is nowhere to be seen or anything like that, someone who could still make that third fight. So if he gets offered the championship belt, he's got to take it with both hands and just think, Conor, you'll have to wait. Yeah, definitely.
Do you think this fight, because of the way it's kind of been hyped up and kind of marketed, if this is a really good fight, do you think this is a trilogy? And it's the BMF title is the thing that's like
for them too. I know what you're saying.
Just for them?
It could be. Definitely, especially if they got a very like unlikely a draw or something. I know what you're saying, so they don't defend the belt, but if them two could fight for it again,
yes, it's almost like just their battle, their
belt.
trilogy.
And I think a lot of it though would depend on what happens to the welterweight division,
right?
Because I think with both Usman and Colby, you've got two fighters there that maybe aren't the most popular, and I think that the UFC will be wanting somebody to beat them, and if they think that,
I think Dana will be wanting Colby to win. And put the belt over his head. See what happens there.
Well, I personally think Colby's getting cut if he loses.
I think he is. You know the video I showed
it's
you?
shocking.
That reaction from Dana White.
Yeah.
I think Dana White wants him out.
Yeah.
It's almost like personal.
Yeah, it is personal. I think, to be honest with you, I'm a great fighter, maybe, but they don't need him.
Yeah.
It's like a football club. It's an organisation. You cannot let anyone be bigger than the organisation. And you know what I mean? I think if you can prove a point, just go, we don't need you, mate. Bang. And I do. I think he's paid off. It's personal.
Mm-hmm.
So this will be the only time that Colby Covington gets compared to Neymar. Which way are we going with this one, lads?
I don't particularly care. On the night, I want to see just a good fight. I just want to see a great fight. I think it can go either way as long as it's a great fight. Because of what I've talked about earlier, the future, I swing to Nate and this is wanting to win because of what it could be. But on the night, I don't really care. I think they both got great stories behind them.
They do, yeah.
I think Masvidal sort of not riding his luck. He's on a form.
It's momentum.
Momentum.
Because people forget, as we mentioned before, that 2 years ago Masvidal got schooled by Wonderboy.
Yeah. I think I'd like to say I'm going back to Nate because I wanted to in a sense, but Masvidal, can you ride him off?
I really like Masvidal.
No, you can't ride Masvidal off.
Can you could you go against him? Sorry, even. You know what I mean in this fight?
I want Nate to win, and I think Nate will win.
Yeah.
I think Masvidal will start strongly, but I think Nate's cardio and Nate's pressure will get him the decision.
I think Nate has more in his locker, more in his arsenal that he can provide.
Yeah.
I do like Jorge Masvidal at the minute. I think I
like them both. Like I say, my main priority for this fight is just to be a good fight.
Yes.
To be a cracker. To live up to, because you find this fights that you're so looking forward to. Because you've got that much expectation for them. I hope it lives up to expectation, and if that's the case, I'll be happy whoever wins.
Do you think they're going to be trash talking? Because at the minute it doesn't seem
and I prefer that they haven't trash talked. It's as if we've done everyone else has done the trash talk. Everyone else is trash talking between them. They're sort of letting each other just crack on. I think it's great.
I think the fact that it is that kind of I'm sure it's East Coast, West Coast.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's selling itself because of it.
Yes, they're not having. That's how big of a fight it is in a sense that they don't even have to sell it.
No.
Like we said, we done the trash talk for them.
As long as they're kind of representing their area, they're going to get everyone else to do all of that talking for them.
And let's hope, lads, it is the the cherry on the cake of a fantastic 244. It certainly seems like it could be.
Definitely, it's got everything there all the tools there to make everything the best night.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good event.
And that is all the time that we have for the preview show. It's been an absolute pleasure to be here once again. It's been a long time since we've had all of us.
Yes, definitely the original.
Yep, the original threesome. And then hopefully we'll be back again in December when we'll talk about UFC 245.
Yeah.
3 title fights, stacked undercard, potentially on box office in this country, so we'll be whinging about that. I think it's going to be an entertaining show. I hope 244 is as well.
Me too.
This has been the INC preview show. I've been Karl Bainbridge. That's been Tim Close.
Thank you very much.
That's been Max Grant.
Thank you.
And we'll hopefully get the best out of UFC 244. Bye bye for now.
See that.
Not surprised, motherfuckers.
Motherfucker.
I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
Motherfucker.